Okay, so this question is a pure question on trigo graph. And this one is specific to sine and cosine graph. So if let's say you kind of forgotten, hopefully this question can do a quick summary for the trigo graph. Okay, so as a quick summary, I will just focus on this part first. So this will be the general format for sine graph and cosine graph. So the value A will tell you the amplitude. It will tell you the amplitude. And from the amplitude, you can tell the maximum and the minimum of the function. Okay, and for B, the coefficient of X, it will be responsible for the period. So the period follows a standard formula, 360 divided by B, or if it's in radian, then it will be 2 pi divided by B. So then the last one will be the shifting. The value of C represent the vertical shift. It can be a vertical shift up or down, depends on the value of C. So if you have a negative value, that means you are shifting down. Okay, so this is a quick recap on this. Then let's try to apply it on the two graph. For part one, you are asked to find the least and the greatest value of fx, which is like the same idea, the maximum and minimum. So the maximum minimum relies on the value of A. So if you look carefully, A is 2, the amplitude is 2, the highest and the lowest will be 2 and minus 2. So later on when you draw the graph, you expect that it will be a 2 and a minus 2. So that's how tall is it. So the amplitude will determine the height of the graph. Okay, the next one, it is also asking for the maximum and minimum value of gx, but gx has a shift. There is a shifting down. Gx has a shifting down from the cosine graph. So I'm also going to be getting the amplitude first. The amplitude will be 3. So before you shift down, before any shifting, the maximum is 3. The minimum is also 3, is minus 3. But because you are shifting down, the highest will get lowered down. That means from the highest 3, I'm going to shift it down. So from 3, it becomes a 2 because the whole graph is being shifted. So that's why the maximum value of gx is 2. So in the same way, before I shift, the minimum is minus 3. But if I'm going to shift down some more from minus 3, I'm going to shift down 1 unit. That's how I get a minus 4. Okay, so that's how we determine the maximum and minimum with something that is shifting. So if the shift is going up +1, then from the highest, you shift up, then you +1. So from the lowest, you shift up, then you +1, if it's a shifting up. Okay, and subsequently, the period, like I say, is the coefficient of x. So in this case, B is 2, so I calculate the period. How does the period helps you in the graph later? So my habit is I will divide the period into 4. You divide into 4 sections. So the amplitude will tell you the height. The period will tell you the horizontal section. So that means in 180, you will see one wave of sine graph. Okay, here the coefficient is half. So if you apply the formula, you will get 720. So later on, I'm going to divide into 4 sections. Okay, that means, right, this part, you will see a full cycle of cosine graph. So all this is like the prep work. So basically, when they ask you for the highest and the lowest, and the period. These are all the prep work. So if let's say they didn't ask you for all this, you will still need all this to do the drawing of the graph. Okay, so if you look how much you are given for the prep work, 3 marks, 5 marks in total for the prep work. Okay, so I'm going to put everything together. Okay, I write down the information, maximum, minimum, period, everything. Okay, so how I approach it. Okay, I shall use the green color for FX. Okay, so I know that for FX, the highest is 2, the lowest is -2. And the period is 180, so I'm going to divide into 4. So 180, I divide into 4 sections. And this 4 section will create the sine graph. So that's how I got one sine graph. And because I'm supposed to draw for 360, that means I actually see 2 cycles. So I repeat the next block of 180 degrees. So I repeat. I also got another cycle. So this one has no trick. You realize this one is quite easy. Okay, the next one is a tricky one. So if there's a shifting, I would suggest don't do the shifting. You do the basic graph first. So I try to do the basic graph first before the shifting. So my suggestion is please don't do everything at one shot. You should do the original graph. The original highest is 3, the lowest is -3. Okay, so in this case, right, this 720 will give me 1 cycle. But if I'm going to be drawing only until 360, that means I only can get half a cycle. So you can just imagine. So if it's a 720, okay, you divide into 4 sections, you should get a full cycle. But since I'm at 360, I will only be getting this part of the cycle. So that's exactly what I do. Okay, so it's at -3. Okay, so I'm only doing this part. So I'm only doing this part. So if you look carefully, so this is the part that I have not shifted down. Okay, so this part will be the y equal to 3 cosine half x. Then I put it as dotted because it's not my final answer. Then eventually every point shifts down. So this is also being shifted down. So this is also being shifted down. And that's where I gotten the final graph that's being shifted down. So that will be my GX. Okay, and then the number of solution for the equation. I forgot to show the manipulation. So essentially, you are supposed to show the manipulation. You're supposed to show the manipulation where you can see that this is the fx, and then this is the gx. So how many solutions are there? Then that will be the number of intersections. So you look out for the intersection between the 2 graphs. You will find that there are 3 intersections. And because there are 3 intersections, there will be 3 solutions. So in a sketch, they wouldn't ask you for the intersection. It's not possible to read the intersection from a sketch. At most, they will ask you for the number of intersection, number of solution. Okay, so hopefully, if let's say you're not very confident about trigo graph, please use this question to recap. And also, this will be the prep work that you will need. You need to find the maximum, minimum, which come from the amplitude. You need to find the period so that you can eventually draw out a full graph.